fungal coming on in from the backside, and that maybe is gonna do enough, but it's not enough, not at all here. Serral falls, Clem makes the comeback of the decade. In the upper left, in the blue, from DreamHack Masters, ESL Masters, excuse me, Atlanta, the semifinals from Team Liquid, it's Clem. And the upper right, in the red, from Basilisk, he's a world champion multiple times over at this point, it's Serral. And we open up on Equilibrium, which is, it's an interesting map. It is a long as hell map. It's got the gold base that Serral's gonna take first off, and this is a setup that Solar tried to use against Clem in the round of 8. Didn't quite work out. Now, granted, Solar was taking the gold as his third, not as natural. That was kind of the different wrinkle that did make the difference. Even still, as we look at this setup here, oh wait, come on, I need A. There we go. That should be good. Even still, as we look at this, Serral, he doesn't have a lot of options with this. You go for this, you go for the gold base as your natural. You know Clem is going to put pressure onto it. You know he's going to put Hellions in. He's going to maybe try to drop the main. He really is going to try to take advantage of the fact that your third base, or your natural in this case, is very far away from the main. So because of that, because of this idea that yes, Serral's going to have a lot of money available to him, but it's extremely vulnerable. Hellions can dive in from the backside. You can section off between the main and the natural. It becomes really hard to deal with. We know that Serral is going to get aggressive off of this. That really is the only option. Playing a macro game off taking this as the natural, it's too hard to defend. It really is not worth it, regardless of how much of an economic boon you get. And let's be real here. The rich gas is really nice, absolutely, but it's only 6 gold-based minerals. It's not, unless you're going for a timing where you want to build, what is that? You want to build 4 less drones and get everything just a little bit faster. It's not really worth rushing, not nearly as much as, say, a full one is now the Reaper's going to try to find some value, gets damage on the drones. And I love what Clem's doing here as well. He's getting that bunker between, outside of the main base, between the main base and the third. And is this gonna withstand until the end of time? No, it's not, but it gives the Reaper A position to retreat back to, and B, it's a speed bump in sort of it's a speed bump in the road of Serral's aggression, where the bunker is gonna have to get dealt with theoretically, assuming something gets actually put into it, but it's gonna be a speed bump in this road of Serral's aggression, as already Lings are on the other side. But more importantly, there are roaches on the way. 5 of them get made as the drone almost gets sniped, but it's not going to find value here. There we go, coming out of Clem. There's the micro we're looking for. But 6-7 roaches are on the way as the Reapers. Serral, for the first time, is going to get revealed that, yes, this is roach play. I think Clem knew this. I think this is very much kind of the expected outcome. There was no natural, really, at all. A nice dodge there. KDA charges as well, finding a little bit more value. Clem is trying to get as much as possible out of this, keeping this army at home for as long as possible, buying time for the Cyclones to get whatever they can get done. And he's not going to pull these Reapers home, by the way. Now, he might eventually, but it doesn't make sense because the Reapers, they're not going to kill a single roach. Maybe at 8 of them or something, sure, fine. But they're not really worth value. By the way, these Lings, talk about things that are value. These Lings forcing not only repair, well, not only forcing the reactor to burn down, they're forcing a repair. That's damage, that's money lost. And in this game where everything is down to the wire here, down to how much money, how much position and time Clem can build into the game before the hammer blow of this gold-based roach aggression hits, doing things like forcing an SCV off the line, forcing a reactor to get repaired is a big deal. And now Serral, here comes his army. He's got 4 Ravagers, 5 Roaches, another Ravager on the way. And, well, for now, we're going to see 1 Cyclone goes down very quickly. The new Cyclones, sure, they're powerful aggressively, but they are made of paper. And you really have to be careful here. So Clem doesn't even feel like he can go down the ramp. The Roaches are too strong. A second Cyclone goes down. And yeah, there's a very low Roach. There's a very low Ravager, but the lock-ons aren't getting really found here. And the SCVs, they're pulled off the line. They're not mining. So even as this natural exists, it's not getting a lot of value. And yeah, maybe a Roach will fall, but this natural is totally broken out of Clem. He really needs to find some value. Reapers are brought back home. We need a repair on the Cyclones. They're just getting so low. And yes, even as the SCVs are going to get pulled, even as the Cyclones are going to try to break this down, they're going to lose their lives for it. And yeah, it's 2 Ravagers. SCV is forced this back for the moment. But look at what's going to come next. There are 6 drones on the way. The lair is on the way. And these Ravagers, they're not even dealt with. The Cyclones, how many do we even have? We don't have them. They're all dead on the map. So yeah, most of the Ravagers, most of the Roaches went down, but the Ravagers here, they got more damage. They forced a repair. They forced a burn. They killed more SCVs. And that's just horrendous news. That is horrendous news from Clem. And now at this point, Serral, the world's his oyster. He's got his natural as his 3rd base. He's got his 4th base on the way. And more importantly, he's got queens. And it's not just that he's got queens made at the natural that is starting to reconnect the creep from the natural on, well, the gold base on back to the natural. And that means that this abusable position between the natural base and the gold is not nearly as abusable as it once was. So 1-1 Roaches are on the way. Roach speed's on the way. The lair is done, adding in all this more gas. And again, remember, Serral, he was on 3 gas, but technically he was on 4 gas. He had that rich gas geyser that the gold base, that this gold base does give you, which, you know, has less gas, absolutely, just like gold minerals have less minerals, but it mines just about as much gas per minute as 2 extractors do. So in the context of this game that we're playing, that is a really big deal. Serral's had a lot bigger an economy than his worker count really would ever say, and that means that he can really start to snowball into the mid game off the damage that he got. Roach speed is halfway done, but more importantly, infested pit on the way, or infestation pit on the way. He's going to add infestors into this army, maybe a quick hive if that's what he wants to, but I think this might just be for a couple infestors to try to end the game. Although, as I say that, Baneliness on the way, Link speed actually was on the way for a bit, so yeah, that's not quite true, as Bio Cyclones are going to try to get a drop in the main base, and Roach speed's not done yet, so this is damage potential coming out of Clem, and Serral does have to take this as seriously as he can, but there are enough Roaches, and really nothing much is going to come of it. And I love this Roach run by as well. Like, I love the idea. It's not going to get much. It gets a single SCV, delays gas for a little bit, tank on the high ground. That is one thing that Clem is so good at. We saw him do that in the WTL run over the weekend. We saw him do it consistently in pretty much his entire DreamHack Masters run, actually. But he's so good at making sure the tanks are on the high ground where they need to be. And you might say, hey, Beo, that's just something Terrans do. And I would say, yeah, it is. But just because it's something Terrans do doesn't mean it's something they always do, and not something they always remember to do. And Clem is being really active on remembering to do it and making sure that he has that defensive high ground that's really hard for the Zerg to deal with. But even still, 5 Overlords on the way. Hive, 2/3 of the way done. 1-1's done here for Serral. +1 melee, bailing speed, sure, fine, but he can build a pretty strong army right now. No infestors on the map, so this was just for Hive at the start. This army that Clem has, he really needs to get something done with this, because again, yeah, he's got his 3rd base now. He's on 70 workers now, but everything's just a little bit behind. His 1-1 isn't, well, his 1-1's done at 840 into the game. That's not all that fast. And now we're going to see, oh, +1's going to get targeted down. That is really nice. Talking about value that you're going to find. Yeah, you know, he wasn't really able to crunch the army down, but denying +1 attack when Serral is transitioning back into Ling, Bane, maybe Ultra, something like that. Knocking that infestation bit, or knocking the Evo chamber down, knocking +1 down is a really nice thing. Although, of course, there's going to be Adrenal that's effectively +3 for the Ling, so it's not the end of the world. And the Banelings have morphed in. I wonder if this is going to be for a dropper. Well, a dropper lord takes 4, and I'm not seeing they get morphed. So this is just going to be, I assume, a run by whenever Serral, or whenever Serral thinks Clem isn't quite paying attention. So drop on the bottom side doesn't get much. Drop on the north side is going to get scattered out, and Serral should be able to handle this. Is a Baneling run by, wants to run in, but Clem's on top of it. He is A-okay, and this drop on the right side doesn't get much either. So we're kind of entering this point of the game where Serral and Clem both, they're throwing haymakers, but their opponents are floating like butterflies. And they're not stinging like bees just yet, but they are floating like butterflies. They're doing a really nice job of really bobbing and dodging these shots. But now Serral's just about maxed out. His adrenal gland done in 10 seconds. These are going to be some extremely feisty lings. Actually, yeah, they're feisty lings. And now Infestor on the way. Vipers are done. +1, about halfway done. Kindness plating on the way. So, well, Ultras are going to be really nice. Serral's maxed out, but so is Clem. He's finally built himself the army that he's going to be happy about. But this army fighting its way on in. Blinding clouds are so nice, and Clem kites away, but he's not kiting that army on the left side. Bailings get really nice connections. He's microing on the north side, absolutely, and it looks like he will fight this army back, but the blinding clouds are doing so much against the bio, actually, making it really hard for Clem to connect. And with the reinforcements, it's actually just, he's not going to take the fight that he wants at all. Friendly fire on the Widow Mines gets the ling, sure, but it gets a lot of the bio down as well. And now Kindness plating. Ultras are on the way. Kindness plating just about done. +1's going to be done soon. Adding in more Vipers here. Infestor somewhere on the map. Where is this Infestor? Where is our Infestor friend? Doesn't have Burrow yet, so it's not all that useful. But there we go. So Serral's maxed out once again. Clem's trades, okay, given the state of the game. A little bit better, actually, because he has that gold. And while Serral did have the gold, not quite now. Oh, there we go. Infestor knows this army's here, looking for it, looking for the big fungal. Pops out, drops it down. Yeah, it gives his life for it. But all the Banelings make their connections. Serral, he gets it all before Clem pops out. So, yeah. Clem, we're talking about how the trades are getting better, how he's taken the gold base as his 4th, which is much more relevant in this game state. He's got harassment on the right side. What is that, a Widow Mine? Yeah, it looks like a Widow Mine. Drop that. Well, gets 8 workers before it goes down, but at this point, Serral's army has got a bunch of heavily upgraded Ultras. Blinding Cloud means the bio just cannot fight here. And now the gold base is going to go down. The other base, I think, should go down pretty quickly as well. Now, Widow Mines are nice. Widow Mines are so good, but he changeling force fields them in. He blocks them in. And that is so fantastic. I missed that the first time. I was focusing, I think, on the base going down. I didn't see the changeling force field to really block in part of the army. At the end of the day, it didn't totally matter because most of Serral's army had spent itself at that point, but it was still super cool. That was awesome. That made me very, very happy. So now the 4th base has been killed. The extra base on top of it canceled, maybe even killed. I'm actually not. Okay, yeah, that was killed as well. So 2 dead bases in this game where Clem had started to redevelop his economy, had started to redevelop his tech, his upgrades, and now we're looking at this position where it's getting a whole hell of a lot worse. Clem's on 3 bases. He's got a 4th base on the way, desperately trying to remake that one, but that's not really going to happen. Big Widow Mine shot, but at this point, I'm not sure how much it really matters. Another base, this time canceled, not killed. But Serral's going to run up. No flanks coming in that I can see at the moment. But at this point, sort of just the most miraculous Widow Mine shots possible, which it's going to need more than that. Serral has taken this game. There really isn't a lot that's going to really that Clem's going to find his way back. Too much damage early, too much damage in the mid game, too much damage actually in the late game as well. And Clem forced out of game number 1. Serral, he leads from pole to pole. In the upper left, in the red, he's up a game in the series off of Roaches and Ravagers and gold bases and all those wonderful things. For Basilisk, it's Serral. And the bottom right, in the blue, down a game, can't quite hold on, is Clem. As we get into the second game of our series, I'd like to remind you all that if you want Starcraft, Stormgate, 5, 6, 7 days out of the week now that I'm back, that I'm off my break, that I have access to a production computer that I can edit, do all of these wonderful things, and also cast, which is also important. You should sub to the YouTube channel, like the video, that really does help. And also, this is, in my mind, One of the best series of all time. I cast it live at DreamHack Atlanta. We're recasting it right now. Hey, Lithanos, gifting a sub to Poriforian. Thank you so much. That's awesome. But anyways, this is in my mind one of the games in this series, one of the best series of all time, or best games of all time, at least in like the last 5 years. And let me know how you feel about it. You know, like, am I off base here? What did Serral do wrong? What does Serral do right? What does Clem do wrong? What does Clem do right? These are important questions that I'm going to ask you to answer in the YouTube comments. And also, catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeoMulf. Because that's where I stream it live. Also, stream it live on YouTube, so you can do that as well. As now we're into game 2. I've spent enough time shilling myself. Probably too much time shilling myself because, well, I'm nothing if not a shill. I don't know. But Clem, not doing anything crazy in this game. Number 2, Serral opened 15-15. 15 hatch, 15 pool, going into that counter 2 racks opening that has been really popular as of late because the Beyond opening has been really popular as of late. But while Clem is a player that will bring it out, Clem is a player that will do it. He's not a player that will do it consistently. I'd say he does it maybe 3 out of 10 games. The rest of it are, you know, other things. They are aggressive build, or they're really more macro builds. He tries to get on top of the drones, doesn't really get it. He's gonna be forced out. But as Serral opens up with this, the downside of this build is that it's a little harder to take your third base. Yes, you get the quicker lings. Yes, you get the quicker queens. Absolutely. But your third base is delayed a little bit, which means Reapers can be a little bit more effective, which means Clem can be an absolute dick and block it with an SCV. So Serral is gonna find his third base delayed for a time. Now, there are queens here, and this will shoo this back eventually. In fact, Serral pulls a second drone for this. Interesting. He really wants this triangular position, but Clem's just not gonna let him have it. Not at all. Queen will not. Oh, no. That could have gone so well for Serral, and instead it just goes so well for Clem. He keeps the Reaper alive. He doesn't get... he gets the base. And Serral will finally now take the third base, but... man, that's delayed pretty significantly. And it's a dead drone. And it's another drone pulled off the line, not mining. All the efficiencies. All of the efficiencies that you're looking for if you're Serral, they're just totally gone. And now... yeah, link speed's going to be done pretty quickly. 18 ling is on the way because you're worried about not really the Reaper, but the Hellions that are going to show up after that, and a lack of creep spread because the queens were pushed so far forward to try to make sure that Serral got this forward third base. All of a sudden, we're in this position where it's a bit dicey. Not at the end of the world, certainly, but the map control that Clem's been able to build for himself in the first 4 minutes of this game is beautiful. It is so nice. And behind this, we shouldn't be surprised at all. It's Cloaked Banshee. It's more Hellions, and a Ling run by from Serral is going to do a lot to ameliorate the pressure. There's no wall, so SCVs are going to go down. Ling's into the main base as well. Clem lets them in into the waiting arms on the hope to maybe get the SCVs out as well, and the Hellions put themselves in a wonderful position. But Ling's in the mineral line means 7 SCVs are going to go down, maybe even a couple more. And this is just a disaster for Clem. This is so bad. It cannot be understated how bad this is for Clem right now. 10 SCVs are going to go down. All the map control's dead. The Hellions are heavily wounded. This is just not. This is not what you're looking for if you're a Clem fan. Yeah, he's got his third base up, and that's going to be a way to find your way back into the game, but it's going to take a moment. It's going to take quite a moment as we wait to see what's going to happen. Meanwhile, Serral, because he's got this release valve on the map, he's started, it's not great, but he's started to develop the creep spread a little bit more. He's got his Baneling Nest on the way, 10 drones on the way. These Lings that he made, well, he's got 20 of them even still, so any sort of Hellion run by later on is not really going to do a ton. And yeah, on top of that, not only did 10 SCVs go down from the run by, it's a full scout of the main base. Serral knows exactly what Clem is going for, what the timings are from everything, although this Banshee, actually these 2 Banshees are a step in the right direction. That's a kill. That's not a cancel. The Hellions think about diving in, but they're just going to assassinate a queen. Yeah, 2 Banshees, 8 Hellions. they do a pretty good job. That queen died very quickly. It was like 75% HP, and then it was dead. That's always fun. So Serral also has to get pulled away from the third base. Hellions continue to find more value. He's gonna get a second queen here. Clem, he's playing mad now. This is just, he's gonna get a, okay, he should have gotten that third queen. He could have gotten that third queen, but instead he backs up, plays safe defensively. That's just a mistake. Even still, getting two queens, forcing drones off the line, getting damage done. All of these things are so good for Clem in this game. Even as he took a ton of damage off the Hellion run by on the third base. But Serral, realizing that while he got a lot of damage done, he is giving damage back on over to Clem. He's got himself set up for the next round as well. Ling's on the right side, getting ready for some sort of run by on top of the third base. Baneling's on the left side. This one, timing it for Baneling speed. So Clem, he's going to have a little bit of a dicey time where you got Baneling's on the left side, Baneling's on the right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the it's only one set of Lings. Baneling's on the right side, getting ready to run in. Maybe as Serral's a bit distracted with, say, Hellions attacking the fourth base. And here come the Banelings trying to find their way in. Ling's on the left side, Baneling's on the right. There's nowhere to run. These SCVs, they're all going to fall. 9 workers dead. 10 workers dead. He exploded one Baneling on the backside to get the last. But the Hellions on the north side, they cut off all the retreat. And yeah, 10 SCVs going down is pretty bad. That was a lot of dead Lings. That was really Clem making the best out of a bad situation. Not perfect. Not perfect. In fact, he's lost about 20 SCVs over the course of this game, but the Lings could have gotten out scot-free. They could have had their cake and eaten it too, and instead, well, they just get to have their cake. Or they just get to eat their cake. And sometimes that cake is slammed into their face, and this is getting weird. So we're going to run away because Clem's got his own pressure. Hellbat, Bio, Mine, Combat Shield done in 8 seconds. If Serral can take the fight before Combat Shields are done, that's going to be really nice. Stim is a lot more impactful right now. Bailey's looking for the engage, but they're not going to find it yet. These pre-splits out of Clem are beautiful. And, well, the drag is not going to find any mines whatsoever. So here come the Lings running forward. Bailing speed, of course, done. 1-1 done as the fight happens. Clem target fire, not enough. And this will get forced back. And again, 10 SCVs go down for a third time. That's just the magic number. That is just the magic number coming on out of Clem. Every time, we didn't even see that happen, but every time as it looks over, Clem now 30 SCVs in the bad. But he's got 1-1. Combat shields. Not a ton of mines in this army, but getting on top of the queens and knocking these queens down is so important. Now Bio's going to get on top of, oh, not the best target fire. They're coming out of Clem. Knocking down these queens is actually just the most important thing. Because it means Serral has to commit more to the defense. It means the creep spread's not going to be as good. The Banshees, there's no detection here, so economic damage done as Clem really starts to swarm. Target fire on all the Banes is massive. And yeah, there are Lings, and he's going to have to run away. But you love that. Clem able to make that happen with Lings in his face. Gets 8 Banelings down, and now Queens, they got to run. They don't have enough energy at all. Really not enough. So Queens have to run away. Banshees continue to find value, even as there's detection. Even still, and Clem into the main base on the right side as well. That drop's going to drop on once again. Clem is game 1. He took a lot of damage. He was forced back. It wasn't incredible. This game, even as he's taken 30 SCVs worth of damage, Clem is firing on all cylinders here. Everywhere you look, he's actively microing. Everywhere you look, he's targeting things down. Everywhere you look, he's finding value. And he's up 3,400 resources in a 10-minute game. I don't even know where he got those. Oh, Banshees. They're going to get more. They're going to kill Queens. They're going to get more drones. Drop on the backside is not going to get a ton, but this push onto the fourth base is really where Clem is trying to finally find his value. Banelings, watch them. Are they going to get the shots they need? The Widow Mines, are they going to get the shots they need? Answers no. And Serral on the other side. Tons of run-by pressure here. Both players are just going insane. But the Banelings, they get knocked down by the Widow Mines, and the reinforcing line is going to do enough, I think. But Banelings coming in from the backside, and Clem's going to take more damage here. More SCVs. 13 this time. Maybe a couple more as Clem is forced back. But the cheeky burrow play is not going to find the value. So 13 more dead SCVs. Clem on 48, Serral 72. And Serral's about to have an upgrade lead as well. So I've been praising Clem. Absolutely. He's done such a good job based on how cheeky little Widow Mine burrow's going to get a couple 5 drones. But I've been praising Clem for how active he's been playing off of a pretty poor early game. Serral really does a good job of fighting it back, fighting his way back into this game, but 2-2 is going to be done for the Terran right now. Drilling Claw's not done yet, but he's up about 12 army supply. But his fourth base gets canceled. Ling's the run by here. Serral being so active on the map with this as he tries to drag the army forward. He's only got really a single Widow Mine on that left side, so it's not the best position to hang around. It's not like you got a tank line. It's not like there's this big minefield. He's got the single Widow Mine. And it's going to work out really nicely. That's 31 kills on that Widow Mine, which is just ridiculous. The single mine does so much more than the rest of the mines of this game as Clem continues to push forward. Target fire as many banelings as he can, but he's not going to get them all. I don't know that Serral's aware of that of that Widow Mine. He's not clearing it up. He's not bringing over his tier forward. He's really dealing with this on the right side as Widow Mines that side don't get a ton. This army continues to push forward, dropping the main base as well. All of a sudden, Serral, he's down 50 army supply. All of a sudden here, he's getting ripped asunder. That 31 shot Widow Mine, 15, 20 army supply. I don't know how many banelings it got. Ripped this game wide on open. The base is going to fall once again. And that Widow Mine, who cares? Not a ton. The fourth base is dead. And Clem just needs to bring his army together at this point on the salient point on the left side where he really wants to start doing a nice job, starts to knock down the last really important mining base that Serral has. And these drops are getting something. Sure they are. But this is what you want to look at, is another 53 kills on the Widow Mine. Not quite doubling up. 16, what was that? 16.5. Yeah, 16.5 to 9,000. That's a lot of resources delta. Not quite doubling up, but it's enough. It's close enough. Here's now Widow Mines again finding more value. And sometimes games happen like this, where Widow Mines don't get it, and then suddenly the Widow Mines start killing everything. And the Zerg's like, oh, man, I thought I was splitting against him. I thought I was doing such a good job. And it's 58. Finally, it's going to go down, but 58 dead Lings, 58 dead Banes on that Widow Mine is game-breaking. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now here comes the pressure coming out of Clem. His 2-2's done, dropping the main base powerful. The Ling run by is just not going to get enough here. Widow Mines are going to burr up. Rally should deal with the rest. And this army with the Liberator, with the Bio, with the Widow Mines, with everything else is just, it doesn't feel like it's something that Serral can really deal with. As now Infestation Pits gets targeted down. Run by on the other side. He's actually dealing with the reinforcements pretty nicely. The Infestation Pit's not now down. Main base unmineable. And while Serral is fighting as valiantly as he possibly can, and he's fighting valiantly, he's dead in this game. Yeah, Clem, he's going to tie it up. We get to go to game 3, tied up 1 apiece here in the semifinals of DreamHack, or of ESL Masters, the Winter Regional. In the bottom left, in the red, or excuse me, in the blue for Team Liquid on what is the greatest game of the last 10 years. It's Clem. The upper right in the red, the reigning Katowice champion. Oh, excuse me, no he's not, but the 2-time world champion, it's Serral. Each player has taken 1 game in this series. Serral went for a bit of an oddball one in game 1. He took the gold bases as natural, flooded with roaches, with ravagers, actually with very few links, but flooded with roaches and ravagers, got an advantage, turned that advantage into a game win. Game 2, Clem was fighting back and forth, eking out really positive trades, then hit a Widow Mine with 58 total kills on the Widow Mine, swung the game, won the game. And here we are. It's Alcyone. It's map number 3. And I know I said this at the start. I'm entitled to spoil I'm not spoiling who won, but I cast this live at DreamHack Atlanta. And I can tell you that this game is one of the most insane games that I've ever had the chance to A, cast, but B, just watch in general. And I know maybe it's not fair just to spoil and say it's good or try to influence you all before the game happens. I don't know. But I'm pretty content in saying that this is one of the singular highest skill games that I have ever seen. And not only is it just one of the highest singular skill games I've ever seen, it's one of the best games that I've ever seen. Because, you know, technically, if you one player playing perfectly and one player not, sometimes the games can be kind of boring. especially if it's just like a pure macro game. It's like, wow, cool. It's really cool to see this, but it's not a good game. This is a high skill game where players are forcing mistakes out of each other all over the place. So with that being said, we're going to see Clem trying to deny the third base as long as possible. He did it in game 2 and he won game 2. So it's clearly that's how that's going to work. Not really actually, but you can try. And for now, just damage on the Lings. This is Alcyone. This is a map that I don't know if we can call it a 100% macro map, but it is certainly a map that is large. This is a map we're actually just gonna stand up for this. It is a map that is choked out through the middle, which is really nice for Terrans if they're trying to push through it, but also as they're trying to establish their bases. But it can be kind of hard to deal with once you try to get to 5 bases. Once the right side gets taken, realistically, it's an awkward map. It's an awkward base for both sides. It can be an awkward map for the Terran. It can be an awkward map for the Zerg. And it really does come more than anything else, execution to multitasking. You have really 3 clear lanes of attack. You have the right side, which is almost like an island base until the mineral patches get mined out. You have the middle, which is a Xel'Naga, and this really broken line of sight blocker that you can sit in, hold the Xel'Naga, and you can see your opponent. Your opponent can't see you. It's not great, or it's very good, I guess, depending on how you want to talk about it. It's really good for ranged units, so it's very solid for Terran bio. Very, very good for Terran bio. And in this game, as expected, it's a 3 CC play coming out of Clem. It doesn't make sense to go for some crazy, I think in general, if you're Clem, it doesn't make sense to go for some crazy 2 base all in because it's Serral, and Serral's really good. But you are one of the few people in the world that can consistently take it to him in the late game. Of course, when we're talking about this series and we're talking about this game, it's nice save there last second coming out of Serral. When we're talking about this game and we're talking about this series, Clem tries to dive in. It's not really worth doing. This is all in the context of about a month before these games. Serral and Clem played each other in the regionals. They played each other in ESL Masters Winter regionals. Clem and Serral played an incredible game in the upper bracket, an incredible series in the upper bracket that Serral eventually ended up winning. And in the finals, after Clem fought his way back there, taking down Raynor in the process, Serral, I'm not going to say dumpstered him, but looked like the better player in that series. So that's the context we look at here. Rather recently, Serral's taken 2 very important series from Clem back to back. And now we're looking at this game on Alcyone. The first game that really hasn't led with anything super weird. No random Ling run by that goes and gets 10 drones or 10 STVs. No Roach Ravager pressure early on. This is our first, I don't even know we can say true macro game, because the last game was a true macro game. Just Serral made some decisions early on with his Lings that you don't normally go for. This is the first true macro game, I guess. And for now, Roaches are taking some damage as Clem tries to put some pressure on. And we're going to see, yeah, there we go. Transfuse on the Roach, so it's not really re-snipeable. And Banshees are they're going to run away. They're going to sit back for a little bit, pair themselves up, and find a little bit more value. But Clem, third base on the way onto location at this point is Serral trying to play the defense. Clem's looking for a way to dive in. He's really been very active, looking for the opportunity to dive in on top of Mineral Line really this entire series. Looking for it here too, but actually he's gonna find a way out, but the Lings are gonna get a significant surround here anyways. So Hellions will fall. Lings do a really nice job of denying the good majority of the map control, and because the Banshees were on the left side, they don't really have this opportunity to go to the right side and knock down the last game. Banshees killed a base. They don't really have that opportunity this time. The base is on the right side, Banshees were on the left. Hatch is done, and Serral is going for a very quick infestation pit. Extremely. It's 6:20. It's going to be 7 minutes when this infestation pit is done. And this has been one of the new metas. This is Zerg players realizing that honestly, mid-game Zerg right now has always, well, mid-game Zerg for the last couple years has not been great. Since the Banling nerf, it's actually even worse. Mid-game Zerg is just not good right now. So you go these 1-1 Roach openers, A, to keep yourself safe from a lot of Terran aggressive openings the Terrans have been going for, the Cyclone openings, double racks openings, things of that nature. You go for that. but you also use it as this opportunity to springboard into the late game as quick as possible, whether it's going to be for +1 melee afterwards and Ultra Ling Bane, not this game, whether it's going to be for quick lurker play, as it seems like this game's going to be. You want to get into Hive as quick as possible. So Hive's halfway done at 7 minutes in. Clem trying to get active on the map with this, but it's 2 medevacs. It's never, well, I'm not going to say never because this is Clem, but it's unlikely to get a ton done. So Banshee's on the right side doing what they can, drop in the middle, doing what it can, but because this is your more classic standard TVZ, we're looking at a game where not a ton happens in the early to mid game. This Clem actually drops a scan in the main base. Or was that the... Yeah, drops the scan in the main base, but well, he sees the Hive on the way. He doesn't see the Hydra Den, doesn't see the Lurker Den, so he's gonna have a rough idea about what's happening, but not really a fine one. Is, oh, that's nice from Clem. He's gonna get, well, 1 Ravager at the very least. Second one will gonna get healed up. It's gonna be okay. Run tail back between his legs, crying back to mommy, saying, please heal me. And Mommy Queen will do that, but nice run by coming out of Serral here. How much damage it gets done? Well, it depends on how good the SCV repair is, but this is going to be pretty nice. This is 6 dead SCVs. Actually going to be a lot more than that. Now, Serral wants to try to find his way to the high ground. Not going to get that one. But it's 8 dead SCVs. It forces the army back home. Kind of. Climb on the middle of the map here. 3 tanks, tons of bio. 1-1 done, but no +2 armor on the way. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal here. There's not going to be this +2 power spike that Clem really would like to rely on. And now with 4 lurkers on the high ground, lurker range not done yet, but this is still 4 +1 lurkers. This is so hard for the bio to attack into. And especially with the Vipers as well, you abduct the tanks, they go down, lurkers do their job. And this pressure coming out of Clem is just not, I don't have a lot of faith in it. Not at all. The lurkers are still there. Yeah, a queen or 2 went down, but that is really the extent of it. I guess he knocked Scrape Spread down. That's something, but he took a couple more SCVs worth of damage on the other side. So even that isn't incredible. I guess if I'm a Serral fan, the one thing I really would like to see that we don't see at the moment is there's no burrow yet. You got Lurker Burrow on the way. We have 2-2 on the way. Pneumatic Carapace, or not Pneumatic Carapace. No, that's actually what it is. We got Overlord Speed on the way. We got all these upgrades. Groove Spines, Hydra Range, sure. But you would like to see Burrow, especially as you kind of start to find these run-bys, these opportunities on the middle of the map where the Terran thinks they've cleaned you up, but you actually burrow up and you can find a little bit more value. Even still, Serral is active on the map right now. He's taken the gold base. He's knocked the rocks down to really enable circulation between the right and the left side, which can always be rather difficult. These Marines are taking juicy lurker shots. I mean, juicy lurker shots as roaches are going to try to get on top of the tank. There are 3 of them here. And you try to make the trades. It looks like 2 tanks will go down, but that's a lot of dead roaches and lurkers for as well. So not the best trade there for Serral. Look at this. 6 dropper lords on the way. Presumably for lurker drops, which is just awesome. That's a great opportunity. If you're able to really find your army, your opponent's army on the other side of the map, getting those lurker drops off could be really, really nice. And Clem's going to have no idea. Eventually the sensor towers are going to smash, or they're going to scout it, absolutely, but he's not going to have any idea up until the sensor towers see it. Maybe the army's on the left side, but he's got Vikings here anyways. I don't know what he saw. I have no idea what he saw, but he's got the Vikings in the perfect position, and that means that this dropper lord is not going to find much of anything here. Vikings get damage done, and they're maybe, what's in this one overlord? Okay, skip all Hydras. So you can't really chase this too much because the Hydras are there. But the Dropper Lords are not going to get anything done. I have no idea what Serral saw, what Clem saw. This has got to be a ladder thing where Serral and Clem playing each other on ladder, and Serral likes to use Dropper Lords, and that's roughly the timing or something, or I truly don't know. But putting 4 Vikings on the right side like that is just... We used to talk about Star Sense in Starcraft, this ability for a player to understand what's happening without really knowing what's happening at all. And that's just one of those moments where Clem's a certified genius. He knew that something was wrong. He maybe sensed that there was not enough army on the left side. So clearly it was somewhere, it was elsewhere. And knowing Serral, he's not just sitting defensively, he's doing something with it. So that means that Clem does not have 12 lurkers in his, or there's like 10 lurkers, 8 lurkers, something like that in his main base on top of his production. And even this one lurker here it's going to be a bit annoying. It's going to deny mining of the mineral wall for just a second, but there's a liberator, so it's going to be fine. Now Infestor's on the way. Liberator range is going to get started soon as Clem runs away. Great Blinding Cloud, and I love this out of Serral. Blinding Clouds on top of Bio can be such an effective tool, especially against a player like Clem that wants to go and stay until the last second, target fire Banelings down, something like that. And well, you have a math in your head if you're the Terran player of how long you can stick around, how much damage you can get done. As we're going to see Nidus drop in the main base, but there are Vikings here. They should be able to land reinforcements as well, maybe. I don't expect this Nidus to get a ton done, but Blinding Clouds can mess with the Terran mental math so much. You say, I can stand here for a second, maybe, I don't know what it is, and I'm gonna get all these Banelings, it's gonna be fine. Suddenly Blinding Clouds down, the Bio's not fighting, and all of a sudden Banelings are making connections. You got to pick up in the last second. You're really not happy. It really messes with things, and these Blinding Clouds and key chokes are making Serral take some fights or just finding some value that he might not otherwise be able to get. As the Nidus in the main base did pop for just a second, but that doesn't look like much of anything came out of it. So Serral's got his side of the map. He has every base that could reasonably be expected for him to take. Clem, he's lacking 3, really. He's lacking the bottom right side, he's lacking the gold base, he's lacking the upper left. As Serral has the map, and more than anything, I would like to see Serral go and take a base. As he has the map split right now, I would like to see him take the base, go and, well, maybe go for just a little bit more. Now Serral on the right side, he's trying to press in just a bit. I see why there's an echo. We're gonna fix this. Well, we're gonna fix this after Serral takes the fight because he's gonna run in, and actually I can fix this. There we go. Okay, now there's no echo. Anyways, Serral tries to fight in. He gets the base, but that is very expensive. That is extremely expensive coming out of Serral. He breaks the base, certainly, but we look at resources lost here. It's about a 5,000 gap. It's about a 5,000 gap at the moment, which is, again, not the end of the world, but certainly a bit of a problem. And you can't afford, if you're the Zerg player, to continue to do that, not without taking a base out of Serral. Or out of Clem. If Serral takes the base, if Serral takes the bottom right base and starts to actively mine from it, puts himself on up to 24 workers as this Infestor just sharking around, looking for something. If he can get 24 drones on a base, mine it as efficiently as possible, that is really gonna make a difference. That allows you to trade so cost ineffectively against the Terran, play the swarm style as he tries to find his way on in, bust the planetary down once again. But Banelings, yeah, they should knock this down, but again, it's not cost effective. It is tremendously expensive coming out of Serral, and Clem will hold on. It's not without cost. He did lose a base. And most importantly, this is the second time he's lost the base in a row, so there was not a ready-made command center ready to go this time to turn into a planetary to really not make much of a difference. Although, as I said that, apparently there was on the high ground. So we're going to have another planetary ready soon. Clem thinks about, or Serral thinks about putting a Nidus on the left side, but again, it's not going to do all that much. There's a tank here. There are Vikings that are landed. There's a Liberator that can do whatever it wants. So Serral has lost, how many Nidus heads? 6 Nidus heads already in this game. But if he can keep Clem on 4, if he can keep Clem from these last 3 bases that Clem hasn't taken, it doesn't matter how much less efficiently he's playing. It doesn't matter really anything about that. It really is all down to how much mining that Serral can deny. So Liberators, they're going to find the north side. They're going to find the rich gas base, and Hydras aren't here. This is Liberator range. It's obnoxious. It does make it a little harder to deal with. This Serral actually puts the there we go. Good job on the Viper. Serral actually misplaces the Spore slightly, so the Liberator is able to get a little bit more done. Is able to just a little, last a little bit longer, but Spores they're going to get dealt with. Man, wouldn't it be interesting if you could go and Static defense took upgrades, so spores benefited from ranged attack upgrades. Missile turrets benefited from mech attack upgrades. Would that be broken? I don't know. Liberators certainly, though, in the hands of Clem, are doing a really nice job as they're just keeping Serral's economy down a little bit. But even as I say that, Serral's got 7k, 5k. His economy is fantastic. He tries to bust through this wall. This SimCity, though, is fantastic. Even still, despite the SimCity, Bantling's knocked down one planetary. They're not going to get the second one, though, actually. The repair is good enough here. Serral makes a bit of a mistake. He tries to bust it down, but he busts the wrong planetary down. He kills the wrong planetary. And that means that, yeah, 9 SCVs fall, but that's a lot of Banes. I do like what Serral's doing with the Nidus, though. Yeah, he's trying to get it into bases, sure, fine. But he's also using this as an ability to try to bounce Clem around the map. We have the Nidus on the left side. We should have a Nidus on the right side soon enough here. And if Serral's active on it, he can maneuver around the map a lot faster. He can maneuver around the map a lot faster than the Terran ever could, even with medevacs and stim and things like that. But, well, we talk about upgrades. Well, we talk about attack upgrades and armor upgrades affecting static D. Certainly the building upgrades are done now. High-sec auto-tracking done just about right now. Building armor will be done soon enough here, and it's going to be a lot harder to bust down Clem once that's going to be done. As the lurkers, they killed a base. They canceled another base. They're making an orbital start to burn, and realistically, knocking these orbitals down is probably more important than knocking the bases down for the most part. The orbitals are worth so much money, as again, Serral tries to break this high ground position, but Clem is just not allowing it to happen. And we talked about Serral needs to deny bases out of Clem. If this base goes and finally a lurker gets up, by the way, that's a lot of lurkers out of that Nidus. But right as high-sec auto tracking is done, building armor is done right now, Serral is not killing things as well as he would like. We talked about having to go and make sure that Clem doesn't get those last 3 bases. Clem is slowly but steadily taking them. Just this slow octopus-like, boa constrictor-like control of the map, where every couple minutes he clenches tighter and clenches tighter and he clenches tighter. And again, we haven't seen Serral take one of Clem's bases. And the resources loss count continues to grow. Now it's 8k, which is not horrible. Not horrible, right? In a 19-minute game in this turtle Terran style, sometimes you actually trade even worse. Is now, again, Serral's gonna try to run forward here, break it on top. The blinding clouds are really nice, and this is dead base. Bantling say, no, we're gonna bust that down very quickly. Mules, it's actually, I don't even know that it's worth really wasting the banelings on the mules. It's energy for gas and minerals, and that's not great. So Serral busts another base down. And now we got lurkers on the left side, but the problem is there are so many liberators here and missile turrets that while the lurkers can deny the building or the orbitals here that are making the wall, they're not actually able to deny the base, not efficiently. But look at this liberator position. Now Clem finally feels active on the map. He knows the bust happened. He knows that Serral is maybe not quite ready to re-engage at the moment, so the base on the right side will go down. These Vikings are actually doing a ton, denying overlords, denying overseers, providing some sort of buffer for the liberators, making sure they can maybe target down a Viper or two. And as the corruptors have been added into this army, it's such a big deal having these Vikings on top of everything. This air fleet, this Sky Terran armada that does so much, but now the corruptors are getting on top. And well, with the corruptors on top, the Vikings are doomed to die. Again, another bust from Serral. And now this is where it starts to get a little bit dicier, because this base needs to get Serral's playing this very conservatively. He gets 24 workers, absolutely. Loses 13 of his own. But I think he could have gotten that base, but I think he's starting to realize that this does have to be an efficiency game. This does have to be this efficiency game of, yeah, deny Terran mining, absolutely, but also make sure that you're not throwing away 20,000 more resources, 10,000 more resources than your Terran opponent. And also Serral's taking the base from Clem on the side of the map that he's not fighting on. But that's a massive fungal going on in. He saves the ghost as much as he can. But man, that's a massive fungal there. If only there was a second, Serral would be such a happy camper. Now they go snipe down all the corruptors. So this base may get busted for a second, but the orbital is just going to lift. SCVs go down, but the base is still going to stand here. And Clem does a nice job once again. Man, Steadfast did such a great call on that play where Clem stays alive, he holds on, saves all the ghosts, and then last second, he's like angels in the sky. He killed it. Great call. Big fan. But Serral's changing his idea around a little bit. He's got a Ultra Cavern halfway done, adding in more corruptors because he needs to deal with the Sky Terran force. I mean, you just can't let the Liberators siege up like that. He cannot let the Liberators siege up like that. But Serral is again changing his mind a little bit. He's moving to a more Ultra style, I guess. I really don't like that. Ultras against this army are horrible. Ultras are they're just not good in the slightest. And again, I gotta criticize Serral a little bit here. He's taking the base away from where he's fighting, which might make sense. You say, hey, Clem, I'm forcing you to deal with one side while I take your money on the other. But there are Liberators on the field, and they're just going to deny mining on that base. They have lib range. It's just, you're not going to mine efficiently. So ideally what Serral is doing here is instead he's holding down the ramp on the bottom side. He's taking this bottom 5 o'clock base, and he's getting as much money out of it as possible. That's what he would really like to see him doing out of his map control. And you know, I look back to 2019, was it, with King of Battles 2, Serral and Maru. Maybe it was 2020. No, it was over COVID. So it was like 2021. I think back to that time when Maru was the late game king, and that was like Serral's one weakness in the matchup, where he would dominate the early game, dominate the mid game, do such a good job, but he wouldn't take money from Maru. And then Maru would eventually get his bases. I gotta be careful here. Widow Mines. Serral dodges out of the infestor. Has to be very careful. And yeah, it's just gonna get sniped down. Fungal doesn't get a ton there. The army on the right side is going to try to deny this base. We don't have snipes. Are disgusting. Snipes are absolutely disgusting in this fight. This is why you don't go ultras. We have, what do we got? 16 ghosts, 7 tanks, 7 liberators. You don't go ultras into that. They're just not good. Hydroling Bane is an option. Broodlords are actually an option, but Serral, he built the Greater Spire and then never went for it. And this ultra idea is just not good at all. Now, again, this is not the easiest position for Clem. Even still, his bank is not incredible. He's not really mining out of much of anything. But I do think the composition that Serral's trying to make here is just not great. There are so many Vikings on them. We have 19 Vikings. That's a massive fungal. Don't know where it came from, but that's a massive fungal here. As the ghosts split cloak, run away, and there's no detection because it all got killed earlier on. The ghosts are so hard to deal with once this Viking counts up. Once they have cloak like this, you need so many overseers or a fungal or something, and Serral just doesn't have it. But anyway, Hydroling Bane is, I think, where you want to be here with spellcasters. Hydroling Bane spellcasters is really where you want to be more than anything else. Getting these ultras, they cost so much money. There's so much supply, and especially attacking into the Terran army and into this Terran Sim City. They're just not great. They just really don't do all that well. And now Liberators are just killing everything. God, Liberators are good. At least in Clem's hands. So now Clem, he's trying to there's no Sim City. So maybe you can make the argument that Serral's trying to bait Clem into a bad fight because there's no Sim City here. And the Banelings and the Lings are going to try to find their way in. Ghost again, cloak again, run away. And there's nothing to see him. There's absolutely nothing to see him. They target everything down. Good splits as well. Snipes on the ultras on the backside. And again here, Serral, he had overseers. They were not quite with the army, not enough. And whatever was with the army gets targeted down by the Vikings, by the snipes. And I think what we really need to see is Serral doing other things. Is the problem right now. Like, he's got this incredible, actually doesn't have a bank anymore. He's lost, what is that, 21,000 more resources than Clem. But what I want to see out of Clem or Serral is realistically a bunch of Nidus heads, a couple Nidus heads on the map, on the right side and the left side, and just using them to bounce right side, attack in there. It doesn't work. Okay, fine. I'm going to bounce left side. I know your army can't reinforce in time, but Serral here is looking for an infestor shot, looking to drop on top of all the ghosts. Running in right now, infestor. Now the scan gets dropped, but it's a little long, it's a little late, and the surround goes again, but the save on the ghosts once again here. Clem keeps everything through. The Lings, the Ultras, everything run their way through, and now a ton of Liberators are going to go down. Serral finally finds his way through this Sim City, through this terrifying army, but on the backside, the snipes will again find value, will again force things back, and Clem's forced down to 100 supply. Absolutely. This economy is, he's actually not mining. Not enough, not really. But that could have been so much worse. So many ghosts stayed alive in that fight. Last second pickup there on the medevacs. It's funny. I think that might have actually been the Angels in the Sky call. Anyway, shout out Dave. Steadfast did a great call on that. But now Serral's going to go once again. Big fungal on the medevacs here. And this is where it gets dicey, because while Serral has traded, what are we at right now? About 20,000 odd resources worth. He's traded a lot better, 3,000 resources or so in the last minutes. And he's denying this last mining base out at Clem. Clem doesn't really have the gold base anymore. He doesn't have the left side base. He doesn't have the bottom side. It's got like 1 or 2 mineral patches. This, and now an orbital is going to go down as well. Serral is mining. Serral has money on the map. He's got those triple arrows. Clem's on 67 supply, 9 SCVs. And despite this game where Serral has traded 19,000 resources worse, Clem is absolutely massively on the ropes. His economy never really developed to the point where he had a bank. And we're just going to see Serral max out one more time, and that should be enough to break this. Not guaranteed, of course, but it should be enough. He's even got a lurker here on the north side to put pressure. It's not going to kill the orbital, but to put pressure on the orbital as much as possible. Although snipes go down and the lurker is dead, but now we're looking at this. The lurker, it's not a lurker army anymore anyways. As Clem needs the gas as well, not just the minerals, so ghosts are going to slowly kill that extractor. And now Serral's got options. Do you try to break the bottom side? Or actually, no, you don't have options. You take the north side. That's the only mining base that Clem has is now Widow Mine drops. You're going to try to go in. 9 workers fall. Very nice there. Serral's trying to bring his army together. And because of the Mule Hammer, suddenly Clem's got an economy. Serral doesn't really. He's only mining 1,000 minerals. Widow Mines are massive, but you got to be careful. Got to be, remember, there are tanks on the high ground here. This is not an easy break. So Serral, he doesn't have to break the base. He has to run around the base. He's got to get on the high ground, get on top of these ghosts, or there's no way he breaks it. So he's going to try to max out once again. He's going to try to take advantage of this 50 supply lead, this 20 army supply lead that he has, and make something happen. As an infestor from the backside sharks around a little bit. Now most of these mules are going to go down. This big economic window is going to go down. Actually, this base should just go down on by the corruptors. They're going to pee it down, even with repair. The corruptors, they're, oh, actually, they're not going to knock it down in time. Never mind. Clem keeps the base alive. And now Infestor on the left side. Big fungal goes down here. This is Serral's opportunity. Tries to get on top of the army here, but the tanks, the Sim City, the target fire on everything, and Clem is going to hold his position. The base stays even still. The base stays alive, and the mules are going to get dropped for just another more second. But now the base will fall, and that's the economy of Clem. It's dead. It's gone. It's in the ground. 4 more SCVs at the time. Sure, he's got more bases he can lift over, but he is literally not mining. 300 minerals a minute, 111 gas in the bank, or 111 gas mining as well. There's not a lot of money in Clem's side of the map whatsoever. All Serral has to do is deny this base, but the scan on the fungal means no fungal's gonna drop no infestor here for this fight. And this corner base, Serral, he keeps attacking through the same side, from the left side around the corner, giving Clem the most picture perfect fight that he could ever want. Serral just needs to knock these rocks down. He can attack from a totally different side, get a much better surround, and then all of a sudden, Clem can't take advantage of that position nearly as much. Even still, that army, that supply lead that Serral had, it's gone. Doesn't exist anymore. 57 armies supplied to 64. He's up double the workers, but he really only has 1 base to mine from anyway, so, well, a base and a half, so that doesn't really matter all that much. And Clem's got his base. Clem has his mining, but Serral's taking base on the bottom right side. He's really, theoretically, ideally going to start to mine here. Serral has no money for overseers. Actually, look at this. He doesn't have a single overseer on the map. He's burrowing a spore. Where was that? Okay, I don't know where it is. He was burrowing a spore to try to clean up a widow mine because he actually didn't have the money for it. He actually couldn't afford an overseer. He'd rather build an ultra or something. Serral needs to find a way to break this base, or at the very least start to go and attack these other bases. It's not relevant for money necessarily, but if you can kill more orbitals, if you can start to shut down economy or start to shut down production, that's also going to be really nice as Clem finds the space on the right side. And I really have taken exception with how Serral's been expanding this game. But Fungal, okay, gets the medevac. Actually, no, it's gonna get the medevac. That makes a big difference. Yeah, Corruptors should be able to target this down. So Clem tries to get as much as possible, but by attacking the bottom right side, this is 10 supply. It's 8 Marines. It's a medevac. It's expensive in the context of this game because no one has any money whatsoever. Even still, it totally drags Serral away from the right side, from the left side of the map, where Clem is desperately muling, where he's mining 2,200 minerals a minute off of one base. As it's dropping the right side, kills more workers. Not that it really matters. There are 65, I think, total minerals on that portion of the map. So it's not a ton anyways. But Serral, instead of getting aggressive, he's taking a defensive position. He knows he needs this base. He knows he needs to hold it. Well, not only can he not let Clem have it, it needs to be his. So EMPs on the infestors. That's one fungal remaining, I think. But on the left side, Ultra tries to make a run by these tanks. 8 kills on this one. 48 kills, 29 kills in the high ground tanks. This is... The Widow Mines in game 2 were insane. Honestly, these tanks might be even more so, but Clem's going to donate one. That's a big deal as we get set up there. Clem is aware that Serral wants to try to break this position because once Clem really gets the siege going, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be nigh impossible for Serral to defend this. So getting set up, getting ready, looking for the scans. He has the orbitals. He can drop pretty consistent scans here to deny any sort of infestor play. And can Clem do it? At this point, Serral's going to run for it. Infestor whiffs, fungal whiffs. That's important. There are, I think, 2 fungals here in this army. 2-3 fungals in the army. And this is an army from Clem that, while it's not the most tech heavy, it's 51 Marines, 15 Marauders. It's just a lot of bio. If a fungal lands perfectly, if the surround goes off the way it should, Serral can wipe this army. But if Clem gets the fight that he wants, well, same true goes for Clem as Ultras run forward. We're going to see a Widow Mine go down the entire armies here. This would be an opportunity for Serral to go for run by, but instead he's going to look for the fungal. Doesn't really hit a good Widow Mine shots. Now Blinding Clouds on top of the army, on top of the tank here. Serral runs into the meat grinder. Absolutely gets slaughtered. And from a position where Serral is up 80 supply, Clem runs forward. Clem's going to knock this base down and maybe, just a little more. It's 111 army supply to 70. And yeah, Clem has 8 SCVs. It doesn't matter. He's got the mules. He's got the time. He's bought the time. Serral's mining on one base. 6 mineral patches. And honestly, most of them are going to mine out. And in 35 minutes, where Clem has been dead for the last 10, all of a sudden, he's fighting his way back into this game. This infestor sharking around. We said it earlier. One good fungal. One good fungal. Surround. All you need is the Corruptors try to kill this base, but the damage has been done. Even if this base falls down, the damage has been done. Clem has an army again. And that truly is what matters. But Clem's not mining. 55 minerals, 0 gas. Another one of those situations. If Serral can buy some time, I don't know if that Clem gives him that time. Serral can buy some time. Maybe it's going to be okay. As look at that infestor on the backside. Clem's aware of it, splitting again. Now infestors on the front side, they get EMP'd. Serral, you got one fungal, one hope. You got one opportunity in this game. Is it going to be enough? Fungal coming on in from the backside. And that maybe is going to do enough, but it's not enough. Not at all here. Serral falls. Clem makes the comeback of the decade. And now he's up 2-1 in this series and this semifinals. I wasn't lying when I said this is the game of the decade. the bottom right, in the blue, taking the game of the decade, I think it's fair to say. He's for Team Liquid. It's Clem. And of course, in the upper left, in the red, down a game, barely losing that last one. It's Serral. And it's wild to me, by the way, that I still can't believe that Serral won that last game. Like, or excuse me, that Clem won that last game. Serral at one point, I think it was like 160 supply to 80. Actually below that, maybe. Serral was in such a good position, but he took two horrendous fights. And we do have to consider that while Serral had that supply lead, he wasn't mining a ton. He didn't have a big bank. So he took a bad fight. He didn't play the map as well as he should have. He didn't open up different attack patterns. He just took a fight around a corner against 3+3 tanks that had a grand total of, I think, 100 kills. Oh, more than 100 kills between them. Just really thinking that, tunnel visioning, I guess, thinking that the game was over and trying to make sure that the game was over instead of actually, and I guess kind of this position where you think the game is going to play itself and then it doesn't, and you're like, oh crap. That being said, there's a new game, although as I look at this, I mean, you lose a game like it does feel that you lose a game like that and that's the series. 38 minutes back and forth down to the slimmest of margins, the absolute slimmest of margins, and you lose it. And then you got to play game 4 I don't think they had a break. I don't think anyone took a break after. There was like maybe a short break. I think Clem had to get like I think he asked for more water at his computer or something, but they didn't take much of a break after game 3. So these players are just reeling in, are just soaking in the emotions of that game. And by the way, because I was there, I cast this game when it was live. The crowd was rocking after Clem took that game. I had both ear cups on my headphones. I was casting. And you could feel the crowd. They were on their feet. They were yelling. They were screaming. They were clapping. They all got the accolades. Serral sneaks that over. Serral sneaks the hatchery back in. Nicely done. I like this queen on the high ground too. Just denying any sort of Reaper Scout, denying any sort of aggression or pressure or anything like that. But if I'm Clem, I feel so good about my game right now because not only am I sitting here having won that game, I took the game to Serral's bailiwick. Serral's probably the best late game Zerg player in the world, and I don't think that's really up for debate. Rainer's better in the mid game. He's faster, but I don't think there's a single active Zerg that's better in the late game than Serral is. And I think that's a really fair statement. And Clem took it to him in the late game. Clem was behind in the late game. Clem was actually dead in the late game, and he was able to fight back and do that. Historically, Clem's been one of these players that, yeah, he can win in the late game, but more about those mid game timings, these ability to go and fight back and forth and do all that. And that's kind of been Clem. That's how Clem's beaten Serral, just really insane multitasking mechanics. And now that Clem can do something that historically only Maru has done with any sort of consistency, and that is beating Serral in the ultra late game from behind. Well, I'm feeling fantastic. I don't feel afraid to go to, I don't know that Clem felt afraid to go to the late game at any point in this series, but I definitely don't feel afraid to go to the late game right now because, again, what's there to fear? You've just beaten the best late game Zerg in the world on their terms when you were behind. But for now, Serral, he did go 15-15 out of this. He's got a Roach Warren down, adding the Evo Chamber in. This is certainly a map that you can go for aggressive options coming out of the Terran. 5 racks, 2 base timing. It's not Serral's or Clem's not doing that. This is a 3 command center Clem because that's just what Clem does. But it is something you have to be aware of. It is something you have to be careful about. You can go for the double barracks setup as well. So Serral doing something a bit interesting here. I don't know how I feel about this. He's gotten single Evo Carapace, which tells me he thinks that there's an all-in coming out of Clem. And that's not happening. That's not what Clem's doing. He's got 3 CC, 1-1 on the way, combat shields on the way, adding in, he's going up to 5 racks. Is just everything is as expected. The Lings are going to try to find a run by, and they're going to get in. So a couple Marines are going to fall. Getting that SCV as well is very nice. Clem, he's focusing on the other side. He can get a queen. He's going to love it. And he's going to get a queen. Back up, run away. Couple Marines for a queen. You'll love to see it. Actually, it's 3 Marines for a queen on the other side. That's exactly equal, except queens are spellcasters, so they're worth a lot more. But 150 versus 150 is Serral. Infestation Pit on the way. Baneling Nest on the way. Roach Speed on the way. Now adding in that second Evo. Seems like one of these things where I think Serral just had the wrong read. Maybe that was an optimization to get high faster, but... And I mean, it's Serral, so who am I to judge? He's one of the best scouting players in the world, but now Run By tries to find the third base. We talked about this in game 1. We're going to talk about it again in game number 4. Clem high ground. Actually, we talked about it in game 3 as well. Clem's high ground tanks. He's so good at making sure there's always one there and the stages of the game where they matter. Really denying these Run Bys. And Serral just lost a bunch of Lings for not a lot. Maybe he got a single SCV off the friendly fire, but not a ton. And now +1 attacks on the way. Hive is about halfway done before the 7-minute mark is really nice. So maybe that's what it was. Just a bit of a more of an efficiency play. Getting your Hive as quick as possible. Delaying +1 attack because you're going to delay it anyways if you're going 1-1 Roaches, which is what this common opener is. But you know, the +1 attack for the Roaches is probably not the biggest of deals, especially if you get an Infestor or 2. So might as well skip it. I'm justifying it for myself. I don't know how much I believe it. You could just get +1 attack and in preparation for that transition anyways and go 1-1. I don't know. That being said, Hive 90% done. 1-1's done here for Clem as he starts to try to put some level of pressure on the map. He's gotten a queen. That was very nice. He's denying creep as much as he can. That's fantastic. But Serral's got his 5th base on the way. And Serral is doing a nice job. What was that just went down? I think a second queen just died. Very nice there. Serral's doing a really nice job of spreading creep away from where the Terran is. There was a lot of pressure on the right side, so creep spread on the left is not quite around this base just yet. That may lead to it. Yeah, it's going to get canceled. And the fungal actually, yeah, it lands, but it lands on medevac, so it really doesn't get a ton. I was going to say Serral's been doing a really nice job of playing off ball, of getting creep spread where the Terran's not, but wasn't quite around the base, and that did give Clem this opportunity. It cancels the 5th base. He's getting little surgical cuts on the right side, not a ton, but he's gonna force a second cancel on the 5th base right now, and this is where it starts to get a little painful. Cancel it once, it's the 5th base. Clem's on 3. Who really cares? You know, it's fine. Although I guess his 4th base is floating over. Cancel it a second time. You're much sadder. You are significantly sadder. So Clem's got his 4th base done on location. We're going to see a planetary get made from that soon enough. Marauder is starting to get added in. 2-2 halfway done. +1 attack for the tanks as well. So Clem is rapidly getting himself ready for this big, powerful timing with Marauders and Marines and tanks and +1 upgrades. And he really hasn't been doing a ton of insane sledgehammer pushing up until this point. It's been an army here, an army there, double drop. Oh, nice fungal on the right side, and Bailey's got solid connections, but the rest of them will get picked up running away. But Serral's had his 5th base denied 3 times now. And when you deny the base 3 times, I mean, oof, that gets real rough. But Serral, we talk about problems for Serral, getting the 5th base denied a couple times. It's never what you want. Serral's adding in ultras now. He's got +2 armor done, chitinous plating halfway done. He's gonna have this timing. Ghost Academy's not done yet. He's gonna have his timing where he's gonna have these, what are they gonna be, 4 armor ultras, +5, you know, +3 armor, 5 armor ultras on the way soon enough. And that's gonna be a timing that's gonna be pretty hard for Clem to deal with as he kites away on this right side. Ultras are now revealed. Blinding Cloud again, denying the kite away, and piercing bombs are really nice as well. The splits aren't good from Clem. He has to kite away around the corner. Serral thinks he can maybe make something happen right now, but the Liberator actually not going to do anything whatsoever. Clem, though, high ground tanks. Serral's learned his lesson. 3 tanks in the high ground. You say no. You say, we'll try this later. You say, I have Vipers. Maybe I'm going to abduct, but you do not take that fight. That is not a good fight to take. Just drop the right side, gets a bane, runs away. Drips and drabs. I know Clem is very happy on 4 bases. He's got his extra command centers going strong here. 5 on the way at a time, because why not? 5 is a wonderful number. 5 is a fantastic number to start doing. So, Serral, though, running in, got the rocks down. He doesn't want to let really Clem get this wonderful sieged up position. Tons of Bailey's here. Tries to break the base. Blinding Cloud on one of the tanks, and it's a Blinding Cloud on the planetary as well. So that's really, really nice. So the base is dead. But again, as we talk about this fight, how much damage does Clem get on the backside? Kills an Ultra. Sure, fine. Gets a lot of the Banelings down. And there were two more command centers right there. So yeah, 12 SCVs. Planetary is dead. That's some minerals. That's some gas down the drain. But there's another planetary in the way right now. This is not really going to slow Clem down all that much. So Serral, yeah, he broke it down fine. But he needs to do it like 2 more times. As this Infestor just sitting here, sharking around, wants to get the break a second time, but the scan gets dropped and a tank gets damage done, and there we go. There's the dead Infestor as well. So Clem has been doing such a good job of that in really these last game 3, I guess, and now starting to do it in this game as well, where he understands how important the Infestors are to Serral's gameplay. Just have them sharking around, getting damage done, dropping the fungals to allow Serral to take the fight. And every single time there's a fight happening, Clem drops a scan on the army. He says, I know there are Infestors somewhere. I will not eat the fungal like this. You're going to have to be really smart. If you're going to find that, like I'm going to find the Vipers. That's 2 Vipers going down. That's such a big deal. 600 gas down the drain. Yeah, Serral's got 2,000 minerals. He's got 500 gas. 600 gas is not something he can afford right now, especially as he loses another base, especially as he's only on 78 drones, which is decent drone count, but he doesn't have the bank. He doesn't really have the bank to justify it. And by the way, +3 armor's done now. There's no +3 attack. We do have chitinous. That's nice. But Ultras are going to hit a little softer. Banelings are going to hit a little softer. Lings are going to hit a little softer, although better than the rest of the units. Serral opted for +1 ranged over +3 attack. Interesting. Anyway, fight coming in, and there is an Infestor on the backside, but I think it got targeted down by the scan, and this army runs in, but it's into a meat grinder. This concave is disgusting, and it's not something that Clem can realistically fight into. So again, we see Serral. Similar issues that we had in the last series, or the last game, where he's attacking in, and he's attacking in, and he's attacking in, and sure, fine, but he's not getting the value to justify it. He's not really going and really knocking things down. He's not, even if he gets a base, he's not killing the army as well, and resources lost, he's double. And this is not that last game where Serral had I think a 7k bank at one point. Clem's been doing such a better job at denying bases. Clem has been doing such a better job at making sure that even as Serral leans into him and denies a base of Clem's here or there, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really do anything because Serral's not on this heavy base count. He's not on quite an economy in the same way. And Serral thinks about attacking in, but I mean, look at this. There's a planetary. There are 3 tanks. There are more orbitals as well. That's not a position that you can fight into if you're Serral. So Clem slowly ratcheting this down. Slowly building his way into the late game, into this style that we really don't see Clem do all that often. Generally, he wins on the 8 racks, or he wins on the 4 base play, or he wins on the active 5 base play maybe, but this ratcheting it down, understanding that, well, the Zerg's quicker into the late game, so I gotta buy my time to get there. That's not what we expect from him as just the strongest thing, but he's going to try to, well, he's going to have to take a fight right now. Snipes go down on some of the Ultras. Ghost die on the right side. And this Viper play is finally starting to be really nice, but there are always 2 fights when a Terran takes a fight. It's when the Zerg runs in, and it's when the Zerg runs away. And a lot of ultras go down as the Zerg runs away, but this time, I think we can say it's pretty worth it. I think we can say that a lot of ghosts went down, 2 bases went down, tanks went down. Much more solid play coming out of Serral. But now Clem on the north side here. Yeah, Clem lost a base, but he can replace it very quickly. Serral is going to lose this orbital, or is going to lose this hatchery again. I think we're going to see him go. I think he's going to lose the drones as well, but Lings are going to try to find their way onto the high ground, and Clem has to run away. This is where it gets a little scary. The ghost can't kite easily. It's not a decent setup, and the infestor on the backside. Serral's going to turn around. The scan doesn't see it. Serral thinks about turning around right now. Where's the infestor shot? I think that was an opportunity. I really do think that was an opportunity for Serral to take a tremendous fight. Clem didn't know. And the army was there. There was no setup. The army was clumped up. That really would have been a massive turning point for Serral, but he didn't see it. He didn't recognize it. Now instead, he's just going to have to take the 12,000 resources Delta trade. More ultras on the way, +2 air attack on the way, getting into those corruptors to make sure that you can deal with the liberators eventually, as we got liberator range on the way as well. And Clem, he's starting to slow down a little bit on the run buys. He's starting to slow down a little bit on the effectiveness of these run buys, unfortunately, if you're a Clem fan. But he's got his bases up. He's on 5 bases right now, and now those medevacs will fall. Nice job there, Serral. I can't believe he's committing with this prop. This medevac is like, I guess it's dead anyway, so you might as well get as much value as possible. And he's gonna get 3 drones. And if Serral doesn't deputize a corruptor over for it, that is gonna be a little dicey. There we go. I don't think you need a parachute. You have corruptors on the map, Serral. Don't spend the energy on that, but I guess that's what was closer. So Clem, he's got his 5 bases. He's got his 6 bases. As the fungals don't really land, but friendly fire is actually doing a number on this Terran army, so Serral's going to be happy with that anyways. And again, we see a greater spire on the way. Serral went for it in game 2, or game 3, excuse me, and he actually didn't go for it. He built the structure, but he didn't do anything with it. And that's most unfortunate. Well, I don't know that's most unfortunate, but I think it's interesting that again we're seeing Serral. He's going to build the greater spire, and I don't know if he's going to use it. I don't know that he's the bank to use it necessarily. And if he had a 7,000 gas bank when the greater spire was done last game and he didn't use it, I don't think he's going to do it here. I think the issue really is he can't trade his supply in an efficient way enough that buys him the time to turn things into broodlords. Every time he makes a trade, every time he tries to do something, he's forced to build units that reinforce faster base. Clem immediately runs across the map and tries to take a base. So even if broodlords would be good, maybe, and honestly against this sieged up Terran, I think they might be. Clem's just not giving him the time. He's not giving him the opportunity to really make that happen. And now Clem, he's building Fortress Terran on the north side. He's taking this base, sure, fine, but now planetary is on the way, missile turrets, sensor tower is on the way. This is Clem's high ground, and there is not a whole lot that Serral can do about it. There's also Clem, of course, rounding out his upgrades. Drilling Claw is just about done. Caduceus Reactor just about halfway done. +3 mech attack, +2 armor. And Serral is trying to do the thing where you take a base from the Terran, but again, I feel like Serral's always too late. I realistically, if you have the map control, you want to go and take that before you take all of your bases. As Infestor goes in, and that's why the missile turrets are so nice. And Serral's going to try to make the break happen. Blinding Cloud, well, actually no Blinding Clouds, parasitic bombs on some of this as he filters on through. But I mean, just look at the tanks. Look at the snipes going down on the ghosts. The planetary, it's not even going to fall down. Yes, the sensor towers. Yes, the missile turrets. Yes, 15 SCVs, but at this point, you have mules. You don't really care. As Liberators are going to kill a couple more Ultras as well, and Serral committed to that fight. Yeah, he did. He's going to lose the base for it. That was not where he wants to be attacking in. And I look at this, and I say, how the hell are you supposed to win this game as a Zerg player? At this point already, yes, the resources lost is bad. It's 15,000, but I just look at the position. I look at this army that Serral is able to make. I look at the armies he snipes. Clem's sniping down drones just to maximize damage. But I look at the army that the Terran can make. I look at the position that the Terran can make, and I look at what the Zerg can possibly build, and I'm like, how do you beat this? And I truly, it's Broodlords maybe. Serral's not making them for a reason. He has the money for it. He could remax on them. He's got the Corruptors on the map, but he's not doing that for a reason. I truly don't know. I guess the Broodlord nerf at this level is too strong because yeah, they move a little faster, but they do significantly less damage. And now Clem is just closing out the side of the map. Serral tried to horizontal or diagonally split the map, and Clem is vertically splitting it. So he's taking bases away from Serral. He's taking space away from Serral, and that's more important. Is this Infestor? EMP hits half of it. It's still got a fungal available, but oh, Ghost runs in, snipes the Infestor down. Secret Asian Ghost runs forward, does such a good job. And by the way, this base, this is what we're talking about. Serral should be taking bases from Clem, but he needs to do it earlier. At this point, Liberators are out in enough numbers that it's really hard for Serral to really take any significant money. We saw that happen in the last game. It's just like, okay, well, you got the base, but you're mining off 2 mineral patches. It doesn't do a ton for you. And Serral, this time, he's going to deputize some Corruptors over. There are 4 missile turrets, and an SCV can repair the Liberators. So I feel like you need to add a Viking. I think you need to add Vipers, realistically, to clear this single Liberator with the range, the Liberator range, and everything else. Otherwise, it's just going to sit back, repair. As a Ghost, Clem tries to save it, and we'll go down. But look at this position that Clem has on the map, or look how much space Serral has on the map right now. He's still got about half the map, but 5 minutes ago, he had 3/4 of the map. He's just slowly being constrained onto his side of the map, and as that happens, Clem builds more planetaries. As that happens, Clem builds more missile turrets. He starts to take more and more of the map, and every inch that he takes is successively much harder for Serral to take. But now that's a big fungal. That makes a big difference. So much of that army goes down, and this might be Serral's opportunity to break this high ground, but high-sec auto-tracking, building armor. He doesn't have enough stuff to break the planetary, and even if he did, I mean, is it worth it? Is it worth it to attack into the planetary when Liberators are joining the fray, when Ghosts are behind? When you have all this army, you're wasting so much damage on a building. When the Terran army, when this 3/3 Terran army is just wailing away at you. I don't know. I don't think so. How come more snipes go down on the Corruptors? Is Clem realizing that he is well in position to hold that right side, the entire right side says, yeah, you know, Serral, you don't get this base. You mind a little bit out of it, but this is mine. So Serral's going to try to break through. There are so many Liberators here. This Sim City it's unfair. It's disgusting. It should not be allowed. And Serral tries to run in and doesn't get a whole lot. As snipes go down, more Corruptors go down. At this point, I know I'm saying this is unfair and disgusting and imbalanced, but realistically, this is so much on Clem's map, Clem's control, his ability to make sure his Ghosts don't die time over time. He's lost a grand total of 18 Ghosts. Sounds like a lot. We are 23 minutes in this game, and he has 19. So he's only had to make about 40 Ghosts over 23 minutes. That's actually not a ton when we consider how long we've been in the late game, and he's had a Ghost Academy for the last 7 minutes. And again, it's a 20,000 resources loss differential. Serral continues to just not be able to trade efficiently at all. Now you compare this to some other late game Zergs, and Dark played a game against Clem that he lost on this map, but he played a game against Clem where he actually traded better than Clem and still lost somehow. But I think we're past the point where Serral can get any sort of run-by damage done, as this Carpenter Flock kind of stuck on the north side. Clem's not even gonna bother with it. He says, yeah, that's 20, 30 army supply up on the right side that you can't do anything with. Have fun. So he's gonna get another base. And while Clem doesn't have a ton of gas to his name, that's important. His army, I mean, there are 20 Ghosts. So Serral's gonna try to run his way up the high ground once again with the planetary, the missile turrets, the snipes go down. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. And again, the map just successively gets smaller. Clem's taken the north side base that was once Serral's, and Yeah, you know, Serral's taking some money out of it. That's fine. More planetaries, more missile turrets, more space that Clem or that Serral cannot exist, that Clem cannot occupy on the map. Or excuse me, that Serral cannot occupy on the map. So now it's long distance mining. Because while Serral's got 3K, 2K, that is not a big bank for this game state. And the pressure continues. More Liberators sieging on up here. Serral, that's a big fungal on the Ghost. If he can lock this down, but of course he can't. Because Clem is so good at keeping them all alive. That means there are 8 Ghosts and Medivacs not able to take the fight right now. This might be Serral's opportunity to finally bust the high ground down. And yeah, the planetary falls, but at what cost? All the Ultras are dead. Every single Ultra falls. And yeah, Serral busted the high ground. But who cares? His bank's dead. More Ultras will fall. And this planetary's still here. Serral whiffs on the fungal. Once again, snipes go down. Clem makes his way into the finals. What a series. What a game. What a series. But of course, if you like this and you want more like this, hit the sub button on YouTube. Like this video. Let me know about how you felt about this series. I mean, this is just... Game 3 is one of the best games of all time. I stand by that. And of course, you want to catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeoMulf. See you there.